presidents of the state units present here, and delegates to this first study camp, so to speak, of the Virat Hindustan Sangam. I must say, I've been to so many conventions, conferences in this country, abroad, but I'm really impressed with the clockwork and the efficiency in which way this has been organized. I tried to compliment Jagdish Shetty, but he said, no, you give the compliment to the Maharaj Secretary. Dr. Sankhe and his colleagues. But more than all, everybody did their bit, made minimum fuss, made arrangements to come here, and we have had a very productive 2 days. We will have more sessions like this. I'm hoping to ultimately culminate in a gigantic meeting in Ramlila ground one of these days. In which all the prominent sadhus and sons who have scholarly bent of mind, who have written books, such people will be invited. Because the country needs today a new leadership. Not, I don't say young leadership, because after Rahul Gandhi, the word young is got bad name. I want a leadership which is equipped, which can occupy ministries and know their job, and therefore run an efficient government. A government which is decentralized, where the ministers have their own authority and are able to perform and be accountable. This is a country which was, as Guru Murthy correctly pointed out, and Professor Vaidyanathan brought it out very well, was a developed country for centuries. And it was a developed country in all dimensions. We discovered science, we discovered economic growth, we discovered so many things. Our rishis were able to hear sound waves below 20 hertz from the sun and gave us the word Om. And Om is so powerful that I once jokingly said that today the struggle is between Om and Rome. And of course Om will win. And we were the only country which said that the earth goes around the sun. Till only a few, 300, 400 years ago, Europe believed that the sun went round the earth. And Galileo made the mistake of saying, no, that's not correct. And what do you think happened? They beat him up. They put him in jail till he withdrew his faith. They said, see, can't you see the sun is rising from there, going all the way there, setting the west? And we are standing where we are. So it is the sun which is going around. But our rishis did not make that mistake. They calculated, they knew even the distance, and so many other things. And slowly we are discovering things which used to be made fun of. But now it's no more fun, because it's been widely accepted. Yoga is accepted as a way of improving health, pranayama. Now the recitation of Om is considered as neurologically very powerful. it is now accepted that intelligence is not just knowing physics and mathematics, the cognitive intelligence, but there are multiple intelligences. So all these things we had, plastic surgery. The other day somebody made fun of the fact that some scholar said that we invented the aeroplane. And I said in my inaugural speech that Vimana Shastra discovers the fuel which is the most efficient, which scientists tell me that when we manage to get there, the world you'll be able to travel around the world for, 1/1000th of the price you're paying today. Because mercury has that kind of energy. One drop of mercury has that kind of energy. So this is there in the Vimana Shastra. Decimal points. If there was decimal point was not there, how difficult calculations would have been. Algebra, geometry, calculus. In fact, calculus was sent by Bhaskaracharya to Leibniz in Europe. Leibniz made the mistake of sending it to Newton, and Newton published it as his own. And there was a big jagda between Leibniz and Newton as to who invented calculus, but neither of them did. It was Bhaskaracharya. So here is a highly evolved, in scientific terms, society. The people who came from abroad, like the Chinese travelers. Now people, yesterday there was a reference to my having unearthed a speech. This speech was given by the Vice Chancellor, the equivalent of the Vice Chancellor, is called the President of Beijing University, Dr. Hu Shi, who was a poet and a Christian. And this is not an admiring article, it is a grudging article. All the great scholars from the world were invited for the 300th anniversary of Harvard University. And each were told, you make any speech you want. And then this was reproduced in the tricentennial volume, because Harvard was 300 years in 1936, it was founded in 1636. And from China, he gave a speech titled The Indianization of China. A case of peaceful cultural borrowing of 300 years. And he says that the Chinese were so fascinated by Hindu concepts that they even declared that India's name, they said, is Shitian Jumbo. Shitian Jumbo means, Shitian means the western frontier. Jumbo means the middle of the earth, Madhya Desha. So Shitian Jumbo is how India was referred to. And they came here and learned Sanskrit. And the scholars, they took back books. What did they write? What did Pashian, for example, write about India? 11 years he was here. He said, leave aside the prosperity in this country. Leave aside the scientific progress. He says, I've never seen anybody so honest as an Indian. They don't lock their doors when they go out in the night. They, if you go to their house and by chance, by mistake, you leave something, they chase you and return it back to you. Now that was the honest Indian. Can you think that we are the same Indians today? I mean, with all this corruption and so on. This was the character, this was the influence, and we lost it. Why did we lose it? Well, this is a matter for debate, but I have a thesis. And that thesis is that we had 3 rules of war, which are really meant for civilized people, and not for uncivilized barbarians. First is, no fighting before the sun rises, and no fighting after the sun sets. That was rule number 1. Rule number 2, that fighting will be in open Maidan, not in agricultural fields, not in the city limits, but in the open Maidan. So Kurukshetra, open Maidan. Ravan had to come out of his palace and meet Rama in the open Maidan. So therefore, no destruction to the civilian society. And third, if you lose the war and you apologize, then you are forgiven, everything is given, and you are sent away. Now Muhammad Ghori came and he lost the war, and Virat was forgiven. How many times? I don't know. 16 times. No. 17 times. And the 17th time his father-in-law betrayed him, and then Muhammad Ghori, he took his revenge. He killed Virat, and I think he took him to Kabul and all the way. Like, yes, correct.
His eyes were gouged out.
Yeah, and the man who helped him, Jaijan, he cut his head in public. So that's how Islam came. So Prithviraj Chauhan made a mistake. It's all right amongst ourselves, you can forgive and all that. But not with these foreigners who came from abroad, the barbarians. And even forgiving them once is wrong. So therefore, like Monu Nalapat says, today we are facing the same kind of force. This ISIS is no joke. It's a hellbent. They say India is an unfinished chapter of Islam in their publication. What does that mean? Meaning that everywhere else they converted the country, they conquered to 100% Islam. But India, after 800 years, they could not convert even more than 20%. So therefore, this is the nation we inherited. And because of certain factors, whatever they were, we underwent, but we never gave up fighting. Everywhere fighting was going on. And therefore, that is why today we are still a Hindu nation in the sense of numbers. So we have to return back to that cultural system where we were 100% Hindu, the Parsis came, they were running helter and skelter after Islam conquered Persia, and here we received them. The Rana, Jada Rana, as he was called near Kutch, he received them, he called the Dwarka Shankaracharya, and he said, these people want, they want protection, they want to live here, what shall we do? So Dwarka Shankaracharya said, yes, they're welcome, we'll give them a place to stay, we will build a temple for them, the fire temple, but 5 conditions. And these conditions they must agree to. And their parties agreed and still follow it today. Condition number 1, no Persian clothes. You have to wear our clothes, that is sari and things like that. And that's why you see Parsi women will be always in sari, particularly on the occasion, on special occasions. So number 1. 2, you can't speak Persian, you have to speak Gujarati. So all Parsis, they don't speak Persian. Persian is their language, which the Muslims later on appropriated, but they speak Gujarati. Third, he said that you cannot eat the cow. Even today, the strict Parsis do not touch cow. Westernized Hindus and westernized Parsis, what they do, I am not into that. But the Parsis today will never touch a cow. Fourth, in the wedding, you must recite 4 Sanskrit slokas, which even today in Parsi weddings they recite. And 5, all the arms you have, drop them. There is no need for arms in India. So on those 5 conditions we settled them, and they became a community which was completely integrated with us. They didn't change their religion, but their culture was the same as us. And that is why nobody grudges them the fact that only 60,000. What a high proportion of government employment is in their hands. Recently the Chief Justice, Kapadia, Parsi, we have Commander-in-Chief called Manik Shah, Parsi, Air Force Chief, Pali Major, like that in every service, Navy, Coast Guard, Attorney General, Soni Soraji. So they are all over the place, but nobody does it. And they too are grateful people. Because when the British told them, we are leaving, but for minorities we are making special arrangements, we like Anglo-Indians, we'll give you 2 seats in Parliament. They said, no need. The Hindus have looked after us for 1,000 years, and therefore you go. The Hindus will look after us. We have no problem with it. Same thing the Jews. They came here, persecuted everywhere. You know what Hitler did to them? Most horrendous crime against them. They came to India, we received them, Cochin, Bombay, built synagogues for them. You can still see the synagogues there. And lived peacefully. When Israel was found, many of them went back. Some are still here, but many of them went back. But Israel Parliament, after adopting the Constitution, passed its first resolution, and it said, "Thank you, India, you are the only country which didn't persecute us Jews." Now they are giving us lectures on secularism and saying that, don't talk about Hindus and so on. This is the glorious tradition we want to destroy. And I don't want you to be just a Virat Hindu in the sense saying, I'll pick up arms for the Hindus. No. I want you to be what is called as an intellectual Kshatriya, as was described earlier, to be able to argue, change the debate. And that requires a great deal of patience, research, and articulation. And you should be able to argue with people without losing your temper, without losing your argument, and give arguments. Break them on their own arguments. This is a tradition which has started now. Sorry that you couldn't see Rajiv Malhotra. He has done that kind of thing in the Western world. I did it. That's why the two of us are never allowed to address any meetings in the university, because they are afraid I will brainwash them. Well, first you've got to have a brain to get brainwashed, but anyway. The fact is that they can't answer our arguments. We have got science on our side. And so therefore, you see, what I am saying today is, first as a Hindu, and I will include Muslims and Christians who want to be part of us. So we have no problem with Sikhs, we have no problem with Buddhists, we have no problem with Jains. Because they have a separate religion, but they accept that they originally came from us. So that matters though. Christians also, they accept that they are, but they consider themselves an international community. That's where the problem arises, and that's where we have to take some precautions. Otherwise they'll try to convert us to Christianity. Christianity is disappearing in Europe and America. And therefore down Latin America and Asia are two parts where the Catholic Church is particularly keen to get recruits for Christianity. That's why they are so aggressively here and aggressively against anybody who blocks the way. But with Islam, we have to come to terms. We should have come to terms in 47, which is not. The Indian Independence Act. You see, there was only India first. And that India is not what you see today. It is India directly administered by the British. And 600 kingdoms where the British had their regents, who really was the executive authority. So the kings were just rubber stamps. But they were kings. Mysore king was there, Indore king was there, Patiala king was there. All kings were there. 600 of them. And the British then decided we have to create Pakistan, so we need a legal basis. So in their House of Commons they passed an act, the Indian Independence Act. In that, what is the objective of that act? They say we want to create a Hindu India and a Muslim Pakistan. This is what the British Parliament passed. So what was Pakistan was to be Hindu, Muslim, and what was to be remaining was to be Hindu. And those 600 kingdoms became independent countries. So therefore, we had a royal mess. I mean, imagine all these independent kingdoms which we today have merged into our country. And so credit to Sardar Patel, he sat with each of them, turn by turn. Some he used cajolement, some he used bribery, some he used arguments, and occasionally he gave out the danda also when became necessary. And Sanatan based the danda, they say in Sanskrit, he converted out of 600, 500 rajas to sign that we are merging our kingdom into India. And that's why we have today a big India. Only 100 went to Pakistan. Now, at that time, the Muslims who stayed behind in India, we should have had an understanding with them. And that understanding should have been that you accept that you want to stay with us, because the British Independence Act doesn't provide for your staying here. But we Hindus are not artistic people, you can stay. But you must agree that your culture is Hindu because your ancestors are Hindu. And it doesn't no necessity that you have to change your culture because you change your religion. In Iran, they have accepted the Zoroastrian language of Persians. They have not invented a new language. They didn't bring Arabic to Persia. So the same way they should have accepted that we accept the primacy of Sanskrit, and we accept that we are descendants of the same people that you are, that we are also of this soil, but we worship, we follow Islam, we believe in the Prophet, that kind of thing. That we would have accommodated, just as we have done for Buddhists, we have done for Sikhs, we have done for Jains, that's not a problem. But that time we didn't do it. And now we have a problem, because the Muslim of India today, by and large, consider himself part of the international Muslim community. So every policy is being looked at from the international point of view. Should we have friendship with Israel? Of course we should have. There are no conflict with Israel. Israel is giving us the weapons, is giving us the intelligence on terrorism, and it votes with us on Kashmir. It supports us in the United Nations, and there are also people with our ancient religion with which we have some commonality. So we want to be friends with Israel. And Jawaharlal Nehru's period, Israel was treated as an enemy. It was turned around when Chandrasekhar's government was formed, and that time I moved that we should diplomatically recognize Israel, and we couldn't get it completed. Then Narasimha Rao came. I was a minister in Narasimha Rao's government too. They had a minister rank position, and we got it done in that time. Israel has since then been a source of strength for us. But the Muslim community, they said, no, you can't vote for Israel in the United Nations. You have to vote for Hamas. Why will you vote for Hamas? Have any Muslim country, single Muslim majority country, ever voted for us on Kashmir or anything else? What about the resolutions they have passed on Virat? So all these things considered, I don't blame the Muslim community for voting against us and voting for Pakistan. All right. But then why should our Muslims vote on international reasons instead of national reasons? And this is not I'm saying because I'm anti-Muslim. I said this to the Tamils also. How stupid of you that you want us to oppose Sri Lanka because the Sri Lankans have a war with LTTE. Now those are Tamils of Sri Lanka. Let them look after themselves. Yeah, and why should I allow the Chinese to come into Sri Lanka because you don't want me to have anything to do with Sri Lanka? And in any way, let me tell you, in Sri Lanka, the Sinhalese came from Bengal and Bihar. And I don't know why the Bengalis and Biharis don't speak for them, but the Tamils are aggressive. They know our Tamils, not our Tamils. We are Indians, so therefore Indian national interest will always prevail over regional interest. Even if it is Bangladesh, if it is necessary, we will have national interest prevail. But of course, what is happening vis-a-vis Bangladesh is a different matter. Now, coming to this issue of Muslims, remember one good thing about the Muslims, their mind is clear. This Hindu mind is like Arjuna, sitting in the middle of the battle. Shall I fight, shall I not fight? And it has been explained to him why he has to fight. His wife has been stripped in the court, and Arjuna is still worried. shall I fight or shall I not fight? So this confusion in our mind is there because the Hindus, see, they are not dogmatic, they are not fundamentalists. So they always think of alternatives. So they get confused. But there are some issues you can't afford to get confused. Let's be clear. Islam is very clear. The world is divided into three parts. Darul Islam, Darul Harab, and Darul Ahad. These three. What is Darul Islam? Where Muslims are in power and in majority. And what's the rule there? Only Islam. There are 2 million Hindus in Saudi Arabia. Can they build a temple? No. Can they celebrate Diwali? No. Can they hold Satyanarayana Puja inside their house? No. Can they put Ramchandraji's photo in their pocket? No. All crimes in Saudi Arabian law. In our country, can we say no masjid, no Eid? No, you can't have a beard, you can't put a topi. Can we say all that? We don't say. So if you ask a Muslim, say in Saudi Arabia, they don't allow our Hindus to even celebrate Diwali. And you want here all these rights. How do you explain it? They say that is Saudi Arabia. That is because in Darul Harab, the Muslim is told by Muhammad that don't go by what rights you have as a majority in Darul Islam. And what minorities in Darul Islam have no rights whatsoever. Kill them if they don't convert, or keep them for menial work, and call them dhimmis. So this is the clear message of Islam. Particularly, Muhammad has made it clear in Sirah and Hadith. So in Darul Harab, the Muslims are minority. They are told that you must now try to form a majority by hook or crook. And for that, keep demanding, and create a feeling that you can't be stopped. And that's what they are doing here. They are saying no uniform civil code. Now here it is very funny because we have uniform criminal code in our country. There is a Sharia criminal code, but the Muslims don't want that. They say, no, that's different matter. I said to them, why don't you ask for your separate criminal code where if you rob, your hands will be cut off. So they said, no, we don't want that. We only want uniform civil. We don't want uniform civil code. But even on the uniform civil code, in Australia they have accepted uniform civil code. Why? Because there they are in a place in a minority, but the majority is united. Here the majority is not united. So that is called Darul Ahad, and we are called Darul Harab. And therefore the behavior of the Muslim is according to the situation. And their mind is clear on that. So we have to understand that also. The day the Hindus become united, you will find the Muslim community the most reasonable community you can possibly have. If they are 20%, 15% more make a difference. They will be very, very nice. You have to see that. We are 80%. If we can get even half our electorate united, you will get 2/3 majority. So our focus in wanting majority is partly because this country, if it is going to have a continuing civilization and a Hindu foundation, then it must be a country where the Hindus are united as Hindus, which means giving up all these divisions. These divisions are bogus. Aryan-Dravidian theory is bogus. The differences in South-North is bogus. Difference between Brahmins and scheduled castes and Shudras and Vaishyas are different bogus. It has nothing to do with birth. It is, we are one people, one DNA, but Varna system is a decentralization of power. Rishi Bhrigu told Bhardwaj that if you want a stable society, these 4 sources of power should be decentralized. Learning, knowledge is power. Weapons is power. Money is power. land is power. And these four should be separated, that no one person has more than one of this. So if you have knowledge, you will not have weapons, you will not have land, you will not have property. That's the concept of the Brahmin. So these are where we divided society, and unfortunately it got mixed up with birth. Where is the place where it says that where you are born, that is your varna? There is no place. Krishna Bhagavan says very clearly it's guna. And he knows our Vishwamitra, who was Rishi of Rishis, who nearly created a parallel universe. Vishwamitra was born in a Kshatriya. So, what about Veda Vyasa, who wrote the Mahabharata? He was born, his mother was a fisherwoman. Kalidasa was a Vanavasi. Similarly, you know that Valmiki was a Dalit. They all became Maharishis. How could they be if there was birthplace? So anyway, that's all gone now. So I think it's not relevant for the 21st century. Because we are the same people, we have the same DNA, we have the same brain, and therefore we have the same capacity, with equal opportunity, we will all grow together. So therefore I think that this country should now consciously begin to think of themselves as one community of Hindus, and we will associate with us as family members those others who say that we also, our ancestors were Hindus, but we follow this religion. This is the concept that we are working for. And the Virat Hindustan concept is nation of Hindus and those others who say that their ancestors are Hindus. If your ancestor is not a Hindu, then who is it? Is it Dori? Is it Ghazni? And you expect us to respect that? After all the brutality they have done. And from that we go to create this consciousness. We need now certain things to be achieved. When you talk about Sanskrit, we are not on Sanskrit because it was taught in those days. We are for Sanskrit because the NASA says that this is the most computer-friendly language and the language of the future. And for artificial intelligence, they have made Sanskrit compulsory. I was recently in Britain, I found there's St. James School there. They're teaching Sanskrit to their English. There's a 100% white English student population. And they made Sanskrit compulsory. So I asked the teacher, why are you teaching Sanskrit? He has no employment value. He says he himself knows Sanskrit, the school teacher. He says that by reciting the shlokas in Sanskrit, it generates vibration which leads to healthy life and a much better brain development. And therefore, we are teaching it. And this is not an ordinary school. And they are teaching it there, they are teaching it in the United States, and in India, we make it all a communal thing. But it's not so. Even Om, for which there's a controversy recently, I mentioned this in my introductory speech. Even in Om, the word or the repetition of Om creates a development in the brain. This I said in Outlook magazine last week had this article in detail. And I think these are some of these articles we must bring it out and put it as a publication or put it on the website of VHS so that we can argue with people on this basis. We have to build the Ram temple. The BJP government has to do it because it's there in the manifesto. And there is no escape from it. And if the government can't do it, then I will do it. Ram Setu, they are all given up hope. And finally, Sudarshan Ji was the RSS chief, called me up and he said that Ram Setu is being broken in 1 week. RDX has been fixed in all the places. I checked out and I found that yes, RDX has been put there and they were going to blow it up and that will be end. And Ashok Singhal said that it will be unbearable for me if Ram Setu is blown up. And there was nobody else who was willing to do anything. None of my colleagues were ready to raise it in the parliament. So, went to Supreme Court. And luck was there. Because my petition was filed, it was placed before the Chief Justice of India, Balakrishnan. I don't know whether it's deliberately or what. When I went that day to argue, the day it was listed for argument, I found that Sri Balakrishnan, Chief Justice Balakrishnan, has gone off to South Africa to give a lecture on Mandela. So I went to the registrar and said, what happened to my case? He said the Chief Justice has specifically written that this particular case, petition filed by Dr. Swamy, will be only posted before me. So I said, when is he coming back? He says, after 1 week. That 1 week would have been blown up. So what do I do? So I said, I'll go before the next judge, senior most judge, Justice Agarwal, who has a reputation for being rude and crude, and people who are afraid of him. And I said, I'm going to appear before him. So my wife, who's a lawyer, said, my God, he will humiliate you because your name is not in the list. On what basis you will stand up? So I went there, I stood up. He said, yes, Mr. Swamy, why are you standing up in my court? I said, well, I had a petition in the Chief Justice Court, and I've just been told he's going to South Africa, and that it can't be heard till he comes back. That means there's no Chief Justice of India today. He said, what do you mean? I am acting Chief Justice. That is equal to my being Chief Justice. So, his vanity was pricked. He said, what is this about? I said, this is about Ram Setu being blown up. And I've got a petition, the whole thing will become infructuous if it is blown up. So there was the additional Solicitor General, this Gopal Subramanian, and he asked him, yes, Mr. Gopal Subramanian, is this true? He said, I don't know anything. I saw that, learned that Swamy has come to the court to raise Ram Setu issue, so I came running. I have no briefing. So the court said, okay, 2 o'clock, come back and get a briefing and come back. So 2 o'clock when we met, the Chief Justice, the acting Chief Justice Agarwal said, yes, Mr. Gopal, what have you found out? He said, well, we have now decided that in the overall interest of development, we will take certain steps. But keeping in view the sentiments of the country and the Hindu community in particular, we will take adequate steps to see that their feelings are not hurt, but at the same time we will not oppose development. So Agarwal said, can't you answer the straight question? Are you going to blow it up with RDX or not? So he started all over again, taking the overall picture into mind, etc. So he said, okay, take granted. So when down I asked Gopal, why did you evade this thing? He said, I went back to the office, they said, yes, a fact that we are going to blow it up. But if you go and deny that you are going to blow it up, then Swamy will produce a photostat copy of the file and we'll all be in trouble. And if you say, yes, we are going to blow it up, then we will give the stay order. So you do golmaal. That's why it is the golmaal. But that was Lord Rama. After all, I had nothing in my hand. Same thing is happening with Ram Temple. I went the other day to Ashok Singhal said this and said, Swamiji, you have to do something. In my lifetime, I want to see this temple built. And this government is still going very slow. So I went to the court and said, I could say, no, Ram Temple building, I have a petition pending, but there are so much arguments left in that Supreme Court. So I took the another route. I said that the constitutional bench of the Supreme Court had said that the makeshift temple, with tarpaulin and all that, there is a temple there, that will continue till this dispute is settled, but no pakka building will be made there. And those who want to take darshan of this Ram temple, they should be allowed on payment of 25 rupees. So therefore, darshan has been going on. People are coming in lakhs and lakhs, you see. And the UP government has got 300 crores in subscription alone, I mean entry fee alone. So I took a petition that the Supreme Court has allowed darshan, wonderful, but there is no bathroom, there is no water cooler, there is no place to keep your chappal, and the parking lot is 2 kilometers away, and people come in the hot sun, there's no wheelchair, there's nothing, and this is an insult to the public, that you have allowed the darshan of Lord Rama, but you have not created the necessary amenities. And I said, there's nothing in the judgment which says you cannot create amenities. And I must say, the Supreme Court ordered the Indian government, that is our government, that immediately take down whatever amenities Dr. Swamy wants and get it implemented. Wow. Now, our government has to give it, because if they don't give it, they'll get it in the head. If they give it also, they'll get it in the head. But they have to do it, because these are birthright of our people, that we must have proper facilities for. But once they agree for parking lots, for shoe racks and water cooler and bathroom, then Pakka and construction has started. Now there are 2 more things which I have discovered, which I am sure that why I so confidently say 2016 we'll get Ram Temple is that I met the Saudi Arabian prince, who was number 3. I knew him at Harvard. So he had come here, so he invited me for dinner. So I told him, see, on Google I find that you have been demolishing mosques. Isn't that out? He said, no, why not? I said, this is a religious place. He said, no, it's not a religious place, it's only for reading namaz, the prayer hall. So I said, you can demolish it. He said, yes. Otherwise, you can give them another plot of land and say you build it there. So I said, why you demolish it in Saudi Arabia? He said, you want to build roads, they're in the way. I have to tell Mamtadi about this, you see, because one airport runway in Calcutta airport has to go around like that because there's a mosque in the middle. So, he said, no, we want to build a road, so we have to demolish. So I said, really? He said, yes, even apartment buildings we do it. So I said, can I do it in India? So then he knew I was putting him into a trap. See? So he said, yes, but do it with little love. Don't do it in an unauthorized way. Government can do it. I said, you will give me a fatwa? He said, yes, I'll give you a fatwa, I'll give you a letter. So therefore, masjid is not a religious place. Masjid is a prayer hall which can be built anywhere. In fact, the Saudi Arabian prince told me that we have prayer halls in the airport. That doesn't make it, the airport is a religious place. So we can break it, we can shift it, we can give, there's a river in Ayodhya, which is called Saryu River. Just across that we can give them a property. Then another thing, as for Hindu temple concerned, it's a totally different situation. Hindu temples are built, when they are built properly, according to Agama Shastras, by holding 41 days of fasting and a prana pratishtha puja. That means God enters the idol and becomes the owner. And therefore, under Hindu law, which is accepted by courts all over the world, that is, God becomes the owner, and therefore a temple is once built according to prana pratishtha puja and Agama Shastra, is always a temple whether puja takes place or not takes place, or whether you have demolished it or not demolished it, it remains a temple. So if it can be shown that there was a temple below Babri Masjid, then if we have a right. And this question was posed by a constitutional bench to the Supreme Court to the Narasimha Rao government. They said, you couldn't stop the demolition of Babri Masjid, now you tell us what is the solution? And give it us an affidavit. So the Solicitor General gave it in affidavit. And what did he say in the affidavit? That if it can be shown that there was a temple, pre-existing temple, over which this masjid has been built. Then we will hand over this entire land to the Hindus to build a temple if they want to. This is what the affidavit has given. Now, is there a temple? Was there a temple below? The Allahabad High Court set up a commission inquiry, used laser beaming, earth satellite imaging, then dug the ground and discovered that there was indeed a temple. So there was a temple, and it was on it was masjid. Temple is permanent. It is owned by God. None of us have any control. So therefore, temple is something that you cannot demolish. Even if you break its structure, it can be rebuilt. Masjid can be shifted. And therefore, what is the solution? Which I'll go sometime soon. I'll go to the court and get an order that the government of India, as per its assurance, can build their temple. I hope the Muslim community, and see, by the way, that masjid was also, it's not a Shia, it's a Shia masjid, it's not a Sunni masjid. I don't know how these Sunni walas are poking their nose into it. And the Shia superintendent of Babri Masjid said, I am ready to hand over this for Ram temple, and you give us a masjid of Kafir. So therefore, all these Hindu items, such as Ram temple, Uniform Civil Code, Article 370, all these legally prepared documents to empower our VHS people so that you can argue. We don't want people who put curries and microphones and all that political party workers can do. All these are intellectual Kshatriya, which will work to change the mind, the thinking of the public by arguing with the people with self-confidence. And that is why we have done this. We will have many more such brainstorming sessions so that you ultimately will become completely empowered. You yourself will be able to go to court and get PILs done and you start a new system. And I would say in the end that in order to be good Hindus, you must develop the moral strength by having good habits and also by defending the weak, and that includes those who try to brutalize women. We must stand up for them and usher ourselves into the 21st century where women and men are equal and are able to go forward. We've always regarded women very highly, and we must rethrone that position. As I said once, I was wondering if in the heavens, if I was to form a cabinet, who will be the Prime Minister? I said it will be Brahma. Then what will be Shiva and Vishnu? I said, well, Deputy Prime Minister. Then what about portfolios? So I said, let me take the first three important portfolios. Defense, Durga. Finance, Lakshmi. Education, Saraswati. These are all women. And then I searched and searched for any male god getting something. I found that information broadcasting was given to Narad Muni and presently held by Arun Jaitley. Well, thank you very much and hope to see you again.